Hello, I'm Emily Edwards, and I'm an intern with Klamath Film. And what you just watched was You Go Girl, a very inspirational and motivational short film in our Southern Shorts category. With us today is the film director Sharifa Ali. Sharifa, it's nice to finally meet you.
Yay, thanks for having me, Emily, and thank you all for watching the film.
I heard that this film was recently screened at the Sundance Festival. How did that go for you?
Well, we were virtual this year because of a spike in COVID cases. Sundance went online, so we were able to engage with audiences, uh, more broad audiences, because the world was now tuned into the virtual festival. It
Mhm.
was a great launch pad for our film, and we were just so thrilled to be able to make Southern Oregon proud.
It's lovely to hear. I also saw that your film was funded by a state program. Would you like to elaborate on what state program helped you fund your uh, film?
Yes, the Oregon Made Creative Foundation, as well as Travel Oregon, put together a call for proposals for Black, Indigenous, and people of color filmmakers to make films with this sort of tagline that the outdoors belongs to everyone. When I saw that call for proposals, I was based in Ashland, Oregon, where I had been for almost a year because of the pandemic shutting down theater. And
Mhm.
so I'd been sheltering in place and put together a proposal to tell a story about a young woman's triumph against all odds in climbing both a literal and metaphoric mountain. And I was excited to tell the story of Black folk in nature because we are often depicted in more gritty and, let's say, urban backdrops. This
Mhm.
was an opportunity to showcase the beauty and magical healing powers of nature and to see not only a Black body, but a Black femme body, a Black body of size. In the hiking space. So it was, in some ways, a proposal to humanity to create more inclusive stories.
That's, I love that so much. Um, I was reading your description at the bottom of that. I saw that it was a love letter to your mother, and that touched me so much because, like, my mother means so much to me, and I love that you said that you loved all her passions, her quirks, and her resilience. And I could feel the emotion coming from the short film as I went on. Like I thought it would be like just some kind of comedy, like short film, but then as it kept going, progressing, I was like, "Why is she on a mountain?" And I just kept going and going, and it like really pulled me in. I could feel the emotion at the end, and I loved it. How did you come to this idea of having this kind of short film with her being in a comedy show and then also hiking in mountains?
Well, the ideas first started with the idea drawing, going into deep personal history and thinking about my mom as this impressive superhero of a woman who was not only a feminist but also a working woman who would also cook for us, who would also travel the world, who could is so many things to so many people. And I think that looking at the world with the perspective of an adult,
Mhm.
uh, there were moments in my own childhood where I always wondered why, you know, my friends, my best friends' moms are stay at home moms. Why isn't my mom a stay at home mom?
Mhm.
And why can't my mom come to all the recitals and games and all those things? And so perpetually sort of like wondering about that empty seat in waiting for a mom to show up.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, what would it mean if we could tell a story of an individual
Mhm.
who is trying to connect not only with her mom but with her own personhood?
Mhm.
How does she imagine herself outside of the mold that has been sort of carved out for her?
Mhm.
And so, in many ways, it was informed by both lived experience and a desire to sort of step into my own personhood.
I love that so much. Considering this is about a family member and showing in a film how much you appreciate them, why did you decide to do it about your mother? And is there a kind of story behind or a secret meaning to the short film you had made? Like, is there something that a meaning you're trying to put behind it?
Well, I think the meaning ultimately is that we shouldn't leave things unsaid, that we should work towards building our relationships with folks while they're still with us,
Mm-hmm.
and honoring the people that they are and honoring ourselves. And so I think having the opportunity to sort of discuss what happens when you leave the mortal plane, um, uh, I was really interested in kind of creating a piece that sought uh, to sort of inform audiences, to give people their roses now, say what needs to be said, do what needs to be done, take that leap.
Okay. Um, what made you want to do a film like this one? And it's as I watched the film, it felt like you were trying to reach the heart of everyone who watched it, and
Mhm.
I know it did to me. Like I could feel it, all the emotion way to the end. Were you wanting to bring out some kind of audience emotion to the audience from your film?
Absolutely. When I made this film, I set out to challenge myself
Mhm.
emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
Mhm.
And I think that, in watching that, you can see, you know, we were there with Tiffany, the actor, every step of the way.
Mhm.
Everything we invited her to do, we did ourselves. So falling, sliding down in the snow, we did that. Getting up on stage to do something scary, we did that.
Mhm.
Climbing the peaks of a very high mountain, we did that. And I have an injury to show for it. I actually tripped and fell on one of our scouting days, and I was almost a goner had it not been for our our team that were near me as I slipped and almost fell down the cliff. So. I say that to say that we really the desire was to challenge myself,
Mhm.
and I think I did that.
It was a way to show that this is what you wanted to do and that you're willing to risk everything just for this film.
Absolutely, the stakes were high. I think we took a lot of safety precautions. We had a paramedic on site. It's also worth mentioning that COVID was still a thing.
Mhm.
So, and it still is a thing. So we were filming during the height of the pandemic.
Mhm.
So not only were we sort of like putting ourselves out there, we were also having to take precautions around safety and wellness.
Um, I realized that at some point in the film, that one of the actresses actually says the name of your film, "You Go Girl." She's inspiring the main actress to keep going because she can tell that she's struggling with like some kind of willpower of not knowing if she should keep going. Was there a purpose of putting the name of the actual film into your film?
Well, I think that statement, "You go, girl," is a quintessential statement that has formed a part of the African diaspora. Whether you are from the African continent or you are amongst the broad global diaspora from the African continent, you know that phrase as a sign of, I see you, you got this, keep going, you go, girl. Um, and I wanted the piece to be to say, to the character, yes, you got this, but I also wanted audiences to also know that you go, whatever it is you're afraid of doing. If you're thinking of climbing a mountain, if you're thinking of, parachuting out of a plane, if whatever it is that scares you, you go, girl, go ahead and do it.
So you're inspiring the audience to not hold back and to follow their dreams and to keep going no matter how hard that trail or road maybe.
Literally, yes. Yes.
That's I love that so much. I love it when films actually put the name of their film into the film. I like they obviously want this to be the name. So on to the same thing of you go girl. Why did you pick you go girl specifically? There are many other phrases that inspire women of anything. Even men will respond to this word. Is it to be like like all over the place so you can reach everyone? Because I've heard people say it to men, women, children. Is that what you're going for?
Well, I think that yes, it's a term that has been used universally,
Mhm,
but if we look at the root of the term and where the term sort of is rooted, it's rooted very much in Black culture.
mhm,
And if we are to explore a lot of the things, a lot of the isms in our society, they can all be traced back to how Black and African people make do. You know,
mhm,
so if we think about pop music, TikTok trends, the hand games that we play, those are all can be all traced back to African culture. If we think of even queer culture, right?
mhm.
The voguing, the drag, the nails, all of that can be traced back to Black culture. And so I think it was for me a kind of nod, homage to the culture that has informed every ounce of everything that I do, to use a phrase that is rooted in that culture but has universal meaning.
I I don't know what to say. The "You Go Girl," I've heard it so many times myself, like, as I'm doing an animation for the film festival itself. My mom has said that to me several times. Quite a few people have also said it, and I've noticed it's such an inspirational way to, like, motivate people,
Right,
and I just love it so much. I say it to my teachers, my friends, and it's just
right,
such a word that
right. Like, what about words like when you say a phrase like "my bad"? That's from Black culture, right? But everybody says that now. Everybody knows and understands and embraces the term of like "my bad," you know,
Mhm,
or don't, like don't trip, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm tripping, like we all know, we all know if we go to Urban Dictionary, and at any given point in time, we get to learn these phrases, or like you killed it,
mhm.
uh, again, Black culture is pervasive, and I just want to be here to support that. And what's exciting to me is a place like the Klamath Film Festival is embracing a project like ours, because, yes, it's a love letter to my mom, it's a love letter to the culture, and it's very much a love letter to Oregon.
Why did you choose to do the two perspectives of her being in the forest and at the comedy show?
So that was informed very much, you know, by my desire to see a literal and metaphorical mountain side by side,
Mhm,
and they kind of were woven together in the same way that you would weave uh, two strand twists.
mhm,
So in the braiding process of your hair, you don't know
mhm,
what's going on. Why are you braiding the hair? Why are you twisting it this way? It's only at the end that you see a beautiful braid. And
mhm.
so I think that story style of interweaving, juxtapositioning the two is very much informed by that.
So you put the two films as if you're braiding hair until you get the final product, which is a beautiful piece of art technically, because
Yes,
doing hair is a type of art, just like filmmaking is.
exactly. So yeah, it was a two strand twist in the style of its editing.
Mhm. And one last thing before you go, um, do you have any last final thoughts on or anything you would like to add to You Girl, like anything you would like to in place on what this film was 100% about?
Well, I think that all I can say is that the way that it was made was incredibly special.
Mhm,
We made it with a team of half theater makers and half filmmakers, theater makers that had been furloughed due
mhm,
to the pandemic, with the help of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, along with Travel Oregon and the Oregon Made Creative Foundation,
mm,
our incredible, incredible producers, Adriana Lea, Camila Long, Courtney Williams, along with Tyler Maddox and our brilliant executive producer, Nataki Garrett, were all heavily involved in the creation of the project. And so for me, it's worth mentioning that the process and the people are just as valuable to me as the finished product. So I really thoroughly enjoyed getting to delve into people and process before ultimately this fine product that you see before you.
I noticed that you really truly like got to know these people that you were working with. If you can tell by just the way that you were talking about them just a second ago, it's very blatantly obvious that you enjoyed working with these people, and that must have been a great experience.
Well, I feel like, there are many ways to make art. And I think that I'm an artist that is interested in radical hospitality, radical joy, and fostering a sense of community.
Well, thank you so much, Safira, for being a part of the Klamath Independent Festival. You Go Girl will be streamed Sunday, September 18th at 2:30 in our Southern Short Film category. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, so grateful to be a part of this prestigious festival. And thank you for taking the time to watch it and to have this time with me.